A healer named Kiaru wakes up from a dream and talks to his guardian Anna about his desire to defeat the demon lord. However, Kiaru seems to be blessed with the sight of the spirits and is led to an angel in the forest at night. The angel boosts him with a magical eye that allows him to see everything in the universe. This includes a flashback to an epic battle between a team of mages and a demon goddess. The leader of the warriors, Flare Giorel, uses Thor's hammer to combat some of the shadow monsters, but her team is no match for the overpowered demon lord. That's when we see Kiaru, who is working as a healer for the mages. However, we also learn that he is treated like their slave, and this is his chance to finally rebel. He dodges the demon shadows and uses his healing powers to resist a giant monster. Kiaru eventually makes it to the demon goddess and defeats her. However, he senses a conspiracy with the Philosopher's Stone and decides to use her magical gem to heal the world. Kiaru is about to be attacked by Flare, but he uses the gem to travel back to the past. Upon realizing everything, Kiaru decides to fulfill his fantasy by humiliating Flare and her warriors. The next day, Flare shows up at the Andel village to recruit a new hero, and she picks up Kiaru as a recruit. Just as expected, he is brought to the Imperial Castle and is granted the title Hero of Recovery. His new status makes him popular with the maids, and then he meets the swordsman Kureha to help her get back her arm. Kiaru succeeds but pretends to be faint as a result of seeing all of her scary memories. Flare shows her true side now, but this only reassures Kiaru that she's the same filth he knew from his first life. After recovering, Kiaru throws a tantrum and Flare tries to act kindly with him. He sees through her deception and keeps up with his act. Later, he is drugged and taken to the dungeon where he is tortured and made to become dependent on substances. However, Kiaru goes through the exact same routine in order to fool everyone around him. As he keeps healing injured soldiers, Kiaru also absorbs their abilities so that he can prepare for his revenge. One night, King Prom leaves with his guards and Kiaru uses this opportunity to escape from his prison cell. However, he gets caught by a soldier named Leonard, after which he is taken to Flare. The evil princess summons Leonard to her private quarters, but it is revealed that he is actually Kiaru in disguise. He explains how he switched faces with Leonard and then he humiliates Flare by breaking her fingers. They play a little game, after which Kiaru gets extreme revenge. Now he erases Flare's memories and changes her face to make her his slave. The next morning, Kiaru decides to look for the demon lord to learn more about her, and then he tells Flare that her new name is Freya. He also introduces himself as Kiarga, and then they get busy. The duo sets out on their journey, but Kiaru is alarmed when he learns that Flare's sister Norn is going to be coming for him. A flashback shows how Flare and the others would horribly mistreat Kiaru. This also involves Blade beating up the poor slave for serving Flare. Then we see that Kiaru was almost killed by Bullet, but then he wakes up from his dream with Flare next to him. Now Kiaru sits down with her to enjoy a meal, but his magical eye senses that the water is poisoned. Luckily, he makes use of the healing powers to create an antidote for the poison after drinking the water. Later, he runs into a sick merchant named Redra Goldman and offers his antidote. The magical potion works instantly and the two businessmen strike a deal with each other. Now Kiaru goes with Flare to buy a slave for combat purposes. He isn't pleased with what he sees at first, so the trader takes him to some injured goods. Here, he spots Setsuna, who is a beast girl from the Ice Wolf clan. Kiaru senses her thirst for revenge and decides to buy her as he can relate to her pain. At the end, Kiaru heals Setsuna and goes through all her memories. He learns that her village was ravaged by evil soldiers of the Jyoral Kingdom as a part of a huge conspiracy to run the slave market. After making another trade with Goldman, Kiaru and Flare decide that they should focus on magical weapons. They go back to Setsuna and revive her, but she slaps Kiaru for doing so with a kiss. He sends Flare to get some food and then he is attacked by Setsuna. However, he pins her down with ease and says that he will give her his powers if she promises to become his slave. He boosts her with his essence and it increases her vessel's power capacity. At night, the trio makes their way to Setsuna's village where they see her ice wolves under attack by the mercenaries. Kiaru unleashes his epic sword powers to defeat the evil soldiers, and then Flare uses her level 5 flame star to take down the troops. Then Setsuna and her wolves savagely kill the survivors, after which Kiaru thinks about how polite and nice Flare has become. Setsuna gazes upon the red moon to celebrate her victory, and then Kiaru spots the source of the poisoned water. He offers Setsuna a choice and decides to cure the water instead of killing all the humans. Now she tells her master her real name and surrenders to him forever. Meanwhile, the king rebukes Leonard for his failures and orders him to kill Kiaru. The girls enjoy themselves by the pool and Kiaru decides to join in on the fun. Later, the team runs into one of the surviving soldiers from the Ice Wolf village and they kill him with ease. Now, Redred tries to corner them with some guards, but Kiaru exposes his true name to be Quinta. The traitor asks for the recipe to the antidote, and then our hero manages to make a good deal out of it. However, he and his budding harem run into Kiraha, who attacks them with her sword. The girls try to reason with her, but she takes down Flare, and this provokes Kiaru. He and Kiraha get into a fierce duel, but Kiaru simply toys with her as he breaks his sword and taunts her desires. Despite this, Kiraha manages to land a blow on Kiaru, but it was all part of his plan to use his powers directly on her. After defeating Kiraha, Kiaru takes her to the inn and talks about how the king is exploiting her. Then Flare also drops by with her original face and tricks Kiraha into thinking that Kiaru had saved her from the castle. Now that she's on Kiaru's side, Kiraha apologizes to him while the girls listen from outside. The next day, Leonard's royal soldiers use Kiaru's village folk to lure him out. However, he doesn't give in and sends Kiraha to check up on it. She comes back with bad news, so Kiaru disguises himself as the soldier Myrta and talks to one of the king's men. However, he learns that Renard has violated Anna and it makes him very angry. At night, he lures the villains into a room filled with neurotoxins and knocks them out. Then he turns Renard into a woman and gives him a taste of his own brutal medicine. Unfortunately, he can't make it in time to save Anna, who manages to give one last smile before passing away. Kiaru releases his frustration on the girls, and then we see Norn plotting revenge against him. The next day, Kiraha informs our heroes about the planned execution at the Colosseum. Then she mentions Norn, and it worries Kiaru as she was the only one who had seen through his illusion when he was Flare's slave. The next day, Kiaru reaches the Colosseum and witnesses the king making a speech before executing the members of his village. Luckily, he reveals himself before anyone gets harmed. Kiaru is given a hostile welcome, but he makes fun of his enemies and is attacked by the soldiers. He takes down the first wave of opponents with ease, and then he tells everyone in the audience his true story as a victim. However, the evil king continues to kill innocent village folk and tries to unleash a magical barrier on Kiaru. Luckily, he switches it around on them by summoning a projection of Flare with her original face. She exposes the Gyral kingdom for all of its wrongdoings, after which she unleashes an epic star flame to prove her identity. Then she urges the people of the kingdom to revolt, and it allows Kiaru to escape with a young boy. Meanwhile, the public rebels and kills the king along with his army. Back at the inn, Kiaru orders Goldman to raise the boy even if it means he will hate his savior all his life. Our heroes decide to visit the city of Branica, and Kiaru asks Kiraha to stay behind and collect more information on Norn. Meanwhile, the wicked sister makes a plan with her slave John to handle her enemy. After an intense night, Kiaru creates a staff that can be used to withstand Flare's powers. The team reaches Branica and enter a bar where they enjoy a meal with a human and a demon. They learn that demons and humans live in peace over here because of the feudal demon king who reached a blood trade compromise with the humans. Suddenly, a girl named Eve Reese enters the pub and sits down with them. Kiaru is shocked because he identifies her as the demon goddess from his past life, but decides to be cool for now. After some time, he says that the demon lord he met was from the Black Wing tribe, but learns that it has been blacklisted by the feudal king. Suddenly, the pub is attacked and Eve is stunned with a paralyzing arrow. Kiaru convinces the queen to hire him, and then he kills one of the demon assassins, after which he escapes on his raptor with the girls. Later, he has a chat with Eve and she gets cautious when he reveals himself to be a hero. Regardless, he offers her a partnership in order to help her become the demon queen again. Eve resists him at first, but asks for some time when he offers to help her save the survivors of her clan. The next morning, she wakes up to an awkward situation with Kiaru and the girls. She's ridiculed by the others for being modest, and then Kiaru gives her some soup. As she enjoys her food, she is presented with the proposal to get back the Philosopher's Stone and agrees to it after hearing the girls vouching for Kiaru. Later, Eve tells her new partner about a god bird named Caladrius who has the ability to destroy an entire city with the flap of its wings. Kiaru gets excited upon hearing this and decides to face trials in order to find the demonic monster. Later, he sets out to collect information on the god bird but is attacked by one of the demon assassins. He takes him down easily, after which he brings some gifts for the girls. Eve decides to leave the room to avoid another awkward scene, and then Kiaru goes out with Setsuna to take care of the surviving assassins. They defeat the demons quite easily and trap them in order to teach them a lesson. Later, Kiaru finds a nice inn where the beds are much better. He and the girls tease Eve some more, and the next day, they go shopping for some weapons. The store owner, Carmen, is amazed by Kiaru's powers and offers him a discount, after which they become friends. However, Kiaru gets alerted when he notices Norn and Blade entering the town. He becomes emotional but is spotted by the elite warrior Trist Organ, also known as Hawkeye. Blade is shown to be a very shady character late in the night when she captures a female victim. Now our heroes and Carmen have dinner together where Kiaru sorts out a fun for himself. However, Carmen tells him about Blade's evil ways and mentions the bar she usually visits. Kiaru doesn't want to use the girls as bait for Blade, so he becomes a woman instead. The girls go crazy after seeing him in such a cute form and get busy in front of Eve. After that, Flare puts some makeup on Kiaru and then he sets out on his mission. He's attacked by some shady goons on his way, but he takes them down easily. Now, he goes to the bar and it doesn't take long for Blade to show up and start flirting with him. He drugs Kiaru with a potion and he plays along even though it has no effect on him. However, they are interrupted by the father of one of Blade's victims. So Kiaru wakes up and engages in a fierce duel with her. Blade starts to struggle, so she overpowers herself with the epic sword Ragnarok and dominates Kiaru. Our hero is eventually taken down and imprisoned by Blade. However, this was also part of his plan and he stuns Blade with poisonous darts after she learns that her victim is a man. Kiaru uses his powers to learn about Norn's plans to attack the town in 3 days, and then he places Blade into a trap similar to what he did with Leonard. He humiliates her as they play one of his twisted games and she is eventually eaten by his zombie men. After this, the Ragnarok sword transforms into a magical orb that our hero takes away. The next day, Kiaru meets Carmen but is confronted by Hawkeye, who offers him a job after being impressed by his aura. Kiaru carefully rejects him as he knows Hawkeye is a dangerous assassin. At the end, Kiaru realizes that he will need a divine weapon to defeat the elite assassin. So he absorbs the power of the sacred orb. It transforms into the sacred armor Georgius, which can grant immortality. Kiaru gets a bit too excited with his new powers, so he has some fun with the girls. Later at night, Norn announces to the people of Bronica that she wants to kill all the demons living here. The public attacks her guards, so she uses this as an excuse to attack everyone in front of her. Unfortunately, the victims include Candon, and it makes Kiaru even more angry as he has lost his only friend. The overpowered hero shows off his new powers in front of Norn's army and defeats them with ease. Norn is informed about this and then Flare shows up as another projection. She tells the soldiers to give up their weapons and live in harmony with the demons. The plan succeeds and the army abandons the mission to please their princess. Kiaru makes use of this opportunity to attack Norn, but is halted by Hawkeye. They engage in a fierce battle, but it doesn't take long for our hero to take down his opponent with his sacred armor and its powers. With no one in his way, Kiaru kidnaps Norn and chains her up. He starts to rebuke her for killing Carmen, so she begs for her life. But then he mentions the Alban village as well. With no other choice, Norn agrees to play one of Kiaru's twisted games but loses very easily. As a result of this, he turns her into a girl named Ellie, who will play the role of his loving sister. Kuroha comes to visit our heroes the next day and is briefed on everything that has happened. After engaging in a fantasy party with his new harem, Kiaru buys another raptor and visits Anna's grave to get closure. He remembers his motivations to get revenge from Bullet and carries on with his journey. And that's the end of the show. Like, share, and subscribe if you want me to cover more recaps like this, and hit the bell icon for notifications. See ya in the next one.